Chen, I can't hear your voice. Only your movie. Okay. Hello, my buntag.
This time, good morning.
Good morning.
How have you been?
Have you been?
Kumusta?
Kumusta? Okay, Rako. Perfect kayo.
Perfect kayo. It's good to hear that one.
Yes.
How's your busy life these days?
These days?
Okay?
Yeah, everything's okay, and I'm still staying at my parents' house, my hometown, and I'm going to back to Tokyo next Monday.
Oh, how's your stay in your parents' house so far?
So far, yeah, it's almost perfect, and I eat delicious food every morning, lunch, and night.
Thanks. That is I bet. Thanks to mom. Right?
Yes, of course. Thanks to my mom.
Yeah. Your mom must love you very much, so that she will always prepare good food for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
So, yes, I had two elder sisters, but the year before last year, the eldest has died because of cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No. It's usual things to say goodbye with elderly.
That is right, but then it's normal, it's usual that we will die. We will all die. That is the truth, okay? That is the reality that we cannot escape. We will all die.
Yes.
Yeah. No matter if you are old, if you are middle aged, if you are young, if you are a kid, we will all die. Okay? If it is our time, really it's our time. But then, you know what is the saddest part? Because we are still alive, and then their memories will always remain in our hearts forever.
Yes,
So like
exactly.
the more we think of them, the
Yes.
more we think of them, it's also painful, whether
Yes.
you admit it or not. Because come to think of it, you cannot see your sister anymore, right? It's really painful, right? It's about like you are squeezing your heart.
Yeah, yes.
Pain.
Yes.
Because
And my
I can
parents.
feel you. Yeah. Because I also have a sister, and then she died at the age of 17.
17.
Yeah.
So young.
That time I was in high school. She was 17. I think I was 15 during that time. So we are living in one house. So in 17 years of her life, we spent it together. So that 17 years of experience brought us or leave us a lot of memories with her. So that's why every time we remember her, it's really painful. And then like if I cannot see her picture, just imagine her face.
Just imagine.
I am fine. But then on November last year, it was her 9th year death anniversary.
That
Yeah. You know what? I cried because family is family.
Yes, exactly. Condolences
Yeah.
to you.
To you too. Yeah, you are more latest.
More latest.
You are more latest because on my case it was already 9 years ago. So like we moved on, all of us.
Your elder sister was 17 years. Isn't wasn't it?
She died at the age of 17.
17.
Yeah. She just graduated in high school.
Wow. Just graduated.
So it was painful, most especially to my mother, because like my mother really she got depressed for 2 years.
For 2 years.
For 2 years, yeah, because she is a mother, right? So if it's painful for us, the siblings, it's the most painful thing for the mom.
Yes.
Yeah, but it cannot be helped again. Like we just accept the fact that's
Can't
life.
be helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
She died also because of cancer of the blood. Cancer of the
Cancer
blood.
of the blood.
Yeah, we call it leukemia.
Leukemia.
Cancer of the blood.
It's very difficult and a fatal disease.
That's right. And then it was too late because when we noticed, her disease was already on stage 3.
So it's stage 3.
Yeah. So even though the doctor like put blood again on her body to replace the red blood cells, but then after 1 week of blood transfusion, she passed away. That means her leukemia or her cancer was already worse during that time.
Leukemia stage 3 is, I guess, the second last stage of the cancer.
That is right. Second to the last. Yeah, anyway, our introduction is very sad.
Today it's very sad.
Let's move on. Okay, let's move on.
But I think it's very important for between teachers and children because we had almost no shareable things
That's right.
except learning in English.
Yeah, and good thing that you are doing the full stage revision because if this is new work, we cannot talk.
Okay. So
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
So let's get started, all right?
Okay.
So your previous progress, let me just confirm, all right?
Okay.
You end up on stage 11, paragraph 954. Your last head word is appliance. Again, you are doing the full stage revision. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Okay, let's continue. Your full stage revision.
Okay.
Now, if there's a lack of harmony in marriage over a long period, what can it lead to? If there's a lack of harmony in a marriage over a long period, what can it lead to? If there's a lack of harmony
in a
marriage over a long
period,
it can
lead to divorce.
Exactly. Why do more road accidents occur when it rains? Why do more accidents occur when it rains? More road accidents occur when it rains because roads are slippery and motorists find it difficult to see. Does it ever occur to you that perhaps you should adopt a healthier lifestyle? Does it ever occur to you that perhaps you should adopt a healthier lifestyle? Yes, no?
Yes.
It sometimes occurs to me that perhaps I should adopt
a healthy lifestyle.
Make a sentence with the word cute, please. Make a sentence with the word cute, please.
Cute. I love cute lady.
Okay, alright, next. What's a beast? A beast is
A large and dangerous animal such as gorilla.
Alright, what do we mean by a grain of sand or a grain of rice? What do we mean by a grain of sand or a grain of rice? By a grain of sand or a grain of rice, we mean one small particle of sand or rice. Does your country produce the majority of its grain domestically or does it import most of it? Does your country produce the majority of its grain domestically or just does it import most of it? My country
produces the majority
of its grain domestically. Alright, next. What part of the body is this? It's the
lip.
That part of the body is
the part of the body is a lip.
How about this part? Okay, this part. What part of the body is this? What part of the body is this? That part of the body
is the waist. Hip. Okay. Yeah, cute. You're cute hip.
Cute hip. you use the head word cute in that sentence.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Okay, next. Did the majority of the inhabitants of your town live in houses or apartments? Did the majority of the inhabitants of your town live in houses or apartments? The majority
of the inhabitants of my town live in apartments.
Okay, why is it particularly important for people who live in apartments to be considerate towards their neighbors? Why is it particularly important for people to live in apartments to be considerate towards their neighbors? It's particularly important for people who live in apartments to be considerate towards their neighbors because it's better for each other to live comfortably without trouble with their neighbors. Okay, exactly. Give me an example of the verb draw used with the basic meaning of move, please. Give me an example of the verb draw used with the basic meaning of move, please. The car drew away from the traffic lights very slowly. Tell me briefly about a marvelous vacation you've had or would you'd like to have. Tell me briefly about a marvelous vacation you've had or would like to have. A marvelous vacation I've had was in the fall of 2019 with my lover. We set up a small tent in a park with lots of greenery and ate some homemade foods and drink dark beer. Moreover, by a chance, it was the day when a singer I loved and had some CDs was giving a free concert at the park. Oh, that sounds so romantic. Yes, romantic. My question is, was that lover way back in 2019 is the same lover this year? Yes, of course, the same lover. Sana all. Sana all. Sana all, you haven't shared.
What a nice expression.
Sana all, yeah. It's really sana all.
Okay. Sana all,
Stay
yeah. Okay.
strong, okay?
Okay.
Stay strong.
Okay.
Okay, next. The countries near the equator have a very limited annual temperature range. Do the countries near the equator have a very limited annual temperature range? Yes, countries near the equator have a very limited
annual temperature range.
Which type of film usually produces a wider range of emotions? A drama or a comedy? Which type of film usually produces a wider range of emotions? A drama or a comedy? A drama usually produces a wider range of emotions. Is there anyone in that room wearing a necklace or bracelet? Is there anyone in that room wearing a necklace or bracelet? Yes, no.
No.
There isn't anyone
in this room wearing a necklace or bracelet.
How many people is your household comprised of? How many people is your household comprised of? My household
is comprised of 4 people.
What's your least favorite household chore? What's your least favorite household chore? My least favorite
household chore is cleaning floors or carpets.
Okay. Name some situations in which it's common for people to panic. Name some situations in which it's common for people to panic. Some situations
in which it's common for people to panic are during job interviews.
What else?
During wedding ceremony.
Ceremony, okay. In party, that's already happiness, okay?
Yes.
Okay. During wedding ceremony.
And wedding ceremony, during job interviews, and
performing on stage,
etc.
Okay, if guard dogs hear footsteps in the middle of the night, do they start barking loudly? If guard dogs hear footsteps in the middle of the night, do they start barking loudly? Yes. If guard dogs hear footsteps in the middle of the night,
they start barking loudly.
Do burglars tend to avoid burgling properties that have guard dogs? Do burglars tend to avoid burgling properties that have guard dogs? Yes. Burglars tend to avoid burgling properties that have guard dogs. What causes certain clothes to shrink when they're washed? What causes certain clothes to shrink when they're washed? Washing at an excessively high temperature
causes certain clothes to shrink when they're washed.
Do you think the market for new cars in your country has shrunk in recent years? Do you think the market for new cars in your country has shrunk in recent years? Yes, no?
Yes.
I think the market
for new cars in my country has shrunk in recent years.
What do I mean if I say John had a puzzled expression on his face? What do I mean if I say John had a puzzled expression on his face? If you said John has a puzzled expression on his face,
you mean he looked confused.
Okay, what do we call the top of a mountain? What do we call the top of the mountain? We call the top of a mountain
the peak or summit.
All right. In that part of town, is there a considerable increase in traffic during peak hours? In that part of town, is there a considerable increase in traffic during peak hours? Yes, no?
Yes.
In this part
of town, there is a considerable increase in traffic during peak hours.
What do you like? What do you feel like doing this evening? What do you feel like doing this evening? I feel like
going to bed until 7:30 p.m. as usual and getting a good night's sleep this evening.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember. You have a very early life.
Yes, I live early bird.
You are an early bird.
And you are an early worm.
Yeah. That's right. If you had a nasty cold one weekend and didn't feel up to going out, what would you do instead? If you had a nasty cold one weekend and you didn't feel like going out, what would you do instead? If I had a nasty cold
one weekend and didn't feel up to going out, I'd rest and sleep instead.
Okay. Do you feel frustrated when you make silly mistakes?
Yes.
I feel
frustrated when I make silly mistakes.
How would you feel if a train you'd hoped to catch was pulling out from the platform just as you arrived? How would you feel if a train you'd hoped to catch was pulling out of the platform just as you arrived? If a train I'd hoped to catch was pulling out from the platform just as I arrived,
I'd feel a little disappointed.
Okay, if you dyed your hair a completely different color, would it transform your appearance? If you dyed your hair a completely different color, would it transform your appearance?
Yes.
If I dyed my
hair completely different color,
it would
transform
my appearance. Under what circumstances did the police decide to restrain someone physically? Under what circumstances did the police decide to restrain someone physically? The police decide to restrain someone physically
when someone has sinned for the current offense.
Or
Or
the suspect is
trying to run away.
Okay, in a newspaper, where's the sports section usually located? In a newspaper, where's the sports section usually located? In a newspaper,
the sports section is usually located at the back.
What do we call the final section of an essay? What do we call the final section of an essay? We call the final section
of an essay the conclusion.
Why do some people have a preference for wearing glasses rather than contact lenses? Why do some people have a preference for wearing glasses rather than contact lenses? Some people have a preference for wearing glasses
rather than contact lenses because some don't like scratching the surface of their eyes and others don't like taking care of it every day, every night.
Okay, that's right. When we create a piece of writing like a letter or an essay, for example, how can we ensure that we've included all the information we need to and that our information is clearly organized? When we create a piece of writing like a letter or an essay, for example, how can we ensure that we've included all the information we need to and that our information is clearly organized? When we create a piece of writing
like a letter or an essay, for example, we can ensure that we've included all the information we need to, and that our information is clearly organized by making a simple plan on the paper before we start.
Why is it important to separate our writing into different paragraphs? Why is it important to separate our writing into different paragraphs? It's important to separate our writing into different paragraphs
so that the reader knows when we are changing the subject or starting a new point.
What must we remember to put at the beginning of any piece of writing? What must we remember to put at the beginning of any piece of writing? We must remember to put an introduction paragraph
at the beginning of any piece of writing.
Why? So that the reader knows
you are writing and what they are going to read about.
When should we not use contractions in writing? When should we not use contractions in writing? We should not use contractions in writing
when we want to use a formal style.
How can we decide whether a piece of writing should be written in a formal style or not? How can we decide whether a piece of writing should be written in a formal style or not? We can decide
whether a piece of writing should be written in a formal style or not by thinking about who will read it.
How can linking words and expressions help with writing? How can linking words and expressions help with writing? Linking words
and expressions in helping with writing because they connect our ideas together clearly.
Give me 4 examples of linking words or expressions, please. Give me 4 examples of linking words or expressions, please. However,
consequently,
in order to,
owing to, thank you.
When we've finished writing, what kind of things should we check? When we've finished writing, what kind of things should we check? When we've finished writing,
we should check our punctuation, spelling, and grammar.
Which region of your country is best known for its gorgeous landscape? Which region of your country is best known for its gorgeous landscape?
Mount Fuji
is the region
of my country
is best known
for its gorgeous landscape.
That's right. If I was off sick one day, would someone else come to teach this class or would the lesson be cancelled? If I was off sick one day, would someone else come to teach this class or would the lesson be cancelled? If you were off sick one day,
someone else would come to teach this class.
Okay, if I say I'm off now, see you later, what does the word off mean? If I say I'm off now, see you later, what does the word off mean? If you said
I'm off now, see you later, the word off means leaving. You are leaving.
Okay. Do painkillers normally come in tablet form? Yes.
Painkillers normally come in tablet form.
And what's the normal dose? It depends.
But the normal dose is 2 tablets.
Okay, next. What am I doing? You're
winking.
Okay. What's the difference between the verbs wink and blink? What's the difference between the verbs wink and blink? The difference between
the verbs wink and blink is that winking involves closing only one eye, thus blinking involves both eyes.
Do you think it's a good idea to keep one's private life distinct from one's work life? Do you think it's a good idea to keep one's private life distinct from one's work life? Yes or no?
No.
I don't think
it's a good idea to keep one's private life distinct from one's work life.
Why not? Why not?
Because I think it makes one life simpler, richer, and more successful if private life is not distinct from work life.
Okay. Can a haircut make a distinct difference to a person's appearance? Can a haircut make a distinct difference to a person's appearance?
Yes.
A haircut
can make a distinct difference to the person's appearance.
How do you usually occupy your spare time? I usually
occupy my spare time by meditating.
Oh, that's so cool. Alright. Who are the occupants of the house next to yours?
Okay.
Who are the occupants of the house next to yours? The occupants
of the house next to mine is a family that looks rich.
That looks rich.
Yes.
Not sure.
Yes.
Okay. Next, when teenagers have a party, is there normally a good deal of mess to clear up afterwards? When teenagers have a party, is there normally a good deal of mess to clear up afterwards? Yes. When teenagers have a party,
there is normally a good deal of mess to clear up afterwards.
If it were raining and I said it looks as though it will clear up soon, what would I mean? If it were raining and I said it looks as though it will clear up soon, what would I mean? If it were raining and you said it looks as though it clears up soon, you'd mean that it was going to stop raining soon. Which aspect of your job do you like the most? Which aspect of your job do you like the most? The aspect of my job
I like the most is to be able to help my customers anytime, anywhere, from any devices, from multi-devices, as an IT instructor working remotely.
And I thank you.
And I think, and you, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The aspect of my job, the aspect of my job that I like the most is, of course, to help the students practice their English speaking skill. And of course, the most important thing is that we can be able to share culture culture from the students and my culture as well. That's the most important aspect of my job. Okay.
Wow, what wonderful.
Yeah, this is also the highlight. The aspect of my job that I like the most is to inspire a lot of English learners to continue and never give up.
Inspire. Sana
Of course. Yes.
Sana
all. Next question.
Okay.
Would you say you were good at carrying out instructions with great efficiency, or do you have a tendency to take too long getting things done? Would you say you were good at carrying out instructions with great efficiency, or do you have a tendency to take too long getting things done? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'd say I was
good at carrying out instructions with great efficiency.
Do you prefer to travel by land, by sea, or by air? Do you prefer to travel by land, by sea, or by air? I prefer to travel
by land.
Why?
Because traveling by land is the shortest time it takes to complete paperwork. For example, ticket, seat selection, baggage inspection, etc.
That's right. If you were a teacher and saw one of your students gazing out of the window during the lesson, would you assume that they were not paying attention? If you were a teacher and saw one of your students gazing out of the window during a lesson, would you assume they were not paying attention? Yes, no?
Yes.
If I were a teacher
and saw one of my students getting out of the window during a lesson, I would assume they would not pay attention.
When we're describing films, what do we mean by a thriller? When we're describing films, what do we mean by a thriller? When we're describing
film by a thriller,
we mean a film with an exciting story. We mean a film with an exciting story full of mystery
and suspense.
Do you think the work of a spy would be mostly thrilling or often tedious? Do you think the work of a spy would be mostly thrilling or often tedious? I think the work of a spy
would be mostly thrilling.
Okay, which famous person would you be most thrilled to meet? Which famous person would you be most thrilled to meet?
I'd be most thrilled to meet is the most guapa woman in the Philippines, Jen.
Famous person.
Famous, yes, for me, you are the famous person, most famous person.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Next, have you ever had a nickname? Yes, no.
Yes, I've had a nickname.
What?
It's Yamachan.
How did you get that name? I got this name because
Yamachan had added the Japanese nicknames particle to the first half of my surname, Yamanaka, Yama plus Chan, by myself.
Okay. Do some buses in that town run more frequently on weekdays than at weekends? Do some buses in that town run more frequently on weekdays than at weekends? Yes or no?
Yes.
Some buses in this town
run more frequently on weekdays than at weekends.
Very good. And that is gonna be the end of our today's full stage revision. So we end up to stage 11, paragraph 966. Your last head word is weekday, and still you are doing the full stage revision. Okay. So good job. Thank you so much for the consistency all throughout the 25 minutes. You have the speed. The pronunciation is good. You are easy to hear and understand. So keep up the great work all the time.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and
That's true.
thank you for showing the sympathy with my elder sister.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye. いや、面白い先生ですね。ジェンさん。